What is good people? You are now listening to another episode of Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth, and today we have an extremely special guest. This lady is one of my absolute favorite Twitter personalities on the planet. She hails from Los Angeles. We're going to get into some stuff tonight. So without further ado, we have Charmaine in the building. Charmaine, how are things?
Hi, things are great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Glad
I
you could be on.
appreciate it.
Glad you could be
Yeah,
on.
no problem.
So I want to start from the very beginning. So from what I understand, you actually weren't born in America. You were born in London.
I am not an American, correct. I am an immigrant. I was born in London. My parents are Jamaican, so I have a bit of like all of that going on. I moved here when I was like 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old. I moved to California, and so I'm technically a California girl, but I definitely don't claim America. So, but yeah, I love it here. I love California. It's my favorite place, like in the country. Yeah, very much so. I lived in Florida for a while, like in my mid 20s to like when I was 30. I moved to Fort Lauderdale, and then I was like, I want to go home, so I moved back to California.
Okay. So, what was life like in London?
From what I can remember, I was young when I moved here, but it snowed a lot when I was young. I remember that's one memory that I have a lot is it being very snowy. All of my family's there. I have like 8 aunts and uncles, and they all lived there. So I grew
Oh,
up
wow.
with them when my grandma was alive, obviously at that time. So we spent a lot of time with her. So I came from like a big family in that way. I have umpteen cousins. There were always parties. It was always jovial at my grandma's house, and I remember that we always had a lot of fun times with my family in England. They lived in Birmingham. I lived in London, so I used to go there on the weekends. And then for a while, when my mom moved here for work, that's why we ended up here in the first place.
Okay.
I then moved to Birmingham and lived with my grandma. So for a little while, and that was nice because then I was with them all the time, just with my family, because it's just my mom and I. I'm an only child from my mom, so it was nice to be around them more often.
So, how far was Birmingham from London?
It's like a 3-hour coach ride. You have to like
Okay.
ride through like the countryside to get to Birmingham. From I can't say I don't have an English accent anymore, but I can't say like Birmingham. It still comes out Birmingham.
So, when your mom relayed the news to you that she was moving to California, how did you feel?
I did not love it. I didn't love it. I cried probably every day. We moved here, and then the first summer that I could go back to England, I left the day after school. I went back to England and I came back. That's when we had like 3 month summers back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I left like literally the day after school was over, and I came back like the weekend before school was back in. I did not want to be here at all. I was like, I don't know anybody here. They keep asking me to say words, like say grass. And I'm like, I can't, it's grass. And it was just a mess. And I absolutely hated it. So, but then, of course, I made friends, and, I met some people. My mom had friends here already, and their kids became my friends. So I got over it pretty quickly.
So, what was the adjustment period like?
Different school, I had to be like put ahead a grade in school because I was smarter than the kids in my class.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was something that I had to adjust to as well. Everything, we didn't have a car at first when I got here. It was just taking the bus everywhere, like around. And I moved to Yorba Linda, which is like the whitest city in America to this day.
Is that in Orange County?
It is in Orange County. It's
okay.
The birthplace of Richard Nixon.
Oh,
to give you a little bit of background. A little background on that place. So that was the biggest adjustment for me, because even though like in England, there was a lot of, obviously there's plenty of Black people, but in Yorba Linda, there were really none at that time in the late 80s, so that was really the biggest adjustment for me, was getting to, figuring out how to deal with all of that.
So
and that was tough.
Oh, sorry. So how long did it take you to get rid of your accent?
Probably when I got to, I would say middle eighth grade, about seventh, eighth grade, because I tried to lose it because I did not want to talk. Everybody kept asking me to talk, and I hated talk. I was very shy as a kid, so I would just like I tried to lose my accent, and now I wish I hadn't have done that because I really do like it, but. At that time, I was like, I am sick of you people talking to me and asking me to say words.
So when you moved to Florida,
Mhm.
what was that like?
A whole other job. But so my dad's family lived in Florida. I have a brother and a sister that live there.
Okay.
And my stepmom and my dad who was no longer with us. But so I would go there every summer. So it's like I had a whole other family and set of friends over there from the time I was like 11 years old. So after I graduated from school, I told my mom, I'm like, I want to move to Florida. And she's like, you got to go to college first. And I was like, well, okay. So then I did some college, and then I graduated. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to Florida now. She was like, fine. At that time, I was like 23 or 24. So it was harder for her to be like, no, you can't go. So I went there I was 23. I went there for 7 years. I lived with my sister for a while. I partied a lot. That was like the heyday of like, the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
The clubs were jumping everything before like the cell phones, all that, and you could just do whatever you wanted basically. South Beach was like every weekend, type of thing, which I loved. A lifestyle I could never do now. It's like, oh, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, going out, go to work Monday. Absolutely not happening. So, I'm like, it's either Friday or Saturday. It can't be both. But living with like my family and stuff was an adjustment because I was used to being by myself, with my mom at home. And then I had like a brother, a sister, nieces and nephews, my stepmom, there's all this family stuff going on. And I'm like, I just want to be home.
Yeah.
I just want to be at home in my room by myself. And they were just like, well, why don't you want to hang out with us? It's like, it's not you. this is an adjustment for me as well, as someone who's used to being by myself pretty often. So that took a little bit of a time, but then it's obviously when I got adjusted and I was like, I'm leaving.
So how long did you stay in Florida?
I was there for about 7 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you went back to California, like what was that like for you?
It was like a breath of fresh air, moving back to what I knew, what was technically home for me. So, I loved it. I was very happy to be home, but then it's like I still go to Florida, at least once a year. I'm always there, to see my family and stuff because I love my nieces and nephews and I just don't want to miss out on them growing up. If there's any like events or whatever, I always go back. But moving back was good. It was an easy transition for me because it was something that I already knew. It wasn't anything different. I still had my same friends. I still lived in the same area at the time, so it was just like going home.
Nice. And speaking of Cali, how did you meet Nick, Jew, and Jessica?
Jessica, I met in a fantasy football league that we played in together with my best friend Jesse. And we would do meetups and stuff. And then we just became friends through that. And then it was just like, oh, we're having a Halloween party. Oh, we're doing this. It's a birthday. It's that. And then we became friends. And now we're like really good buddies. And I love her. And Nicole, I met on Twitter. And then something happened with her. She left Twitter. And then I reached out to a mutual of ours. And I was like, hey, if you find her, if you can find out where she is, give her my information because I need her in my life. So you find her and bring her to me, and then I'll do the rest. And then that was like, I say it's our 10-year anniversary next year because it's been 10 years since that all went down.
Wow.
And through all of that, her and I have become like lifelong friend partners. We'll be friends forever. She's stuck with me. So, and we do vacations and we hang out, we do trips and stuff. So, to keep our friendship, to make sure that it's nurtured because it's something that it's important to the both of us.
Oh, and I love that. I love that y'all are intentional about, meeting up and, like you said, keeping that friendship going and keeping the friendship fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, it's harder to make friends as an adult. It's
That's
harder to
so
do
true.
that.
So
So it's
true.
like when you find someone that you vibe with and you rock with, it's like when people meet us, they'll meet her and then they'll meet me and they'll be like, oh, it's like the same person. It's like we're meeting the same person. And I'm like, but we're so different, but I guess, but the same.
Now, speaking of Twitter, one of the hallmarks of your I have to say one of the highlights of your life
Yeah.
was on Twitter. I'll never forget, if I'm not mistaken, it was on a Friday night, and
Yes.
you tweeted to Prince, and then all of
Yes.
us, and out of nowhere, Prince responds to your tweet.
Yes. So I pulled it up because I couldn't remember the exact wording, but what happened, it was like maybe a week before he passed away, a week or two before he passed away. And they had to do like an emergency landing somewhere. And it was all over the news. And I was just like, oh my God, please tell us that you're okay. What's happening? Blah, blah, blah. And then him or whatever, his account, it was him, liked my tweet. So then I was like, oh. And then I was like, okay, so I guess this is you telling us from Chanhassen, Minnesota, that you're fine. Cool. And then he quote tweeted my tweet and was like, wind noise goes here. He was like, cool breeze, wind noise goes here. And I've had a few tweets go viral, over my Twitter career.
Yeah.
My phone blew, it literally shut itself off. I was like, what is happening to my phone right now? My notifications were, at that time I had them on. They were just like, my phone just went, and then the phone cut off. And I was like, wow, okay. And then when I logged back in, everybody was like, oh my God. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. So I have it printed and I'm going to frame it and put it in my apartment. I just haven't done it
like
yet.
that. Dope. I'll never forget. I was watching Jeopardy, and I happened to look at the phone. I'm like, are you shitting me? Prince just answered back to Charmaine. I was like,
yeah,
I was happy. I was happy for you. I was like,
yeah.
Wow.
And as someone who myself has been, a Prince fan my whole life, basically, that was just like, wow, okay, we'll chalk this up as a highlight for sure.
Man, and then another Twitter moment was you putting out in the universe that you wanted this job, and the universe responded by placing the job in your hands. So you are now working for the Los Angeles Lakers. So just share with us how you landed that job.
So a little backstory. I'm like the #1 Laker fan on the universe. So I've been a Laker fan for all of my adult life, into when I was a teenager. I was a Kobe fan, all of it, everything. So I was just at work one day, and I actually wasn't even looking for a job. I was just at work on Twitter scrolling my timeline, and I saw a job posting anyway, sidebar. If any of you want to work in sports, any team, there's a Twitter account called Team Sports Online. That's where they do all their hiring from for jobs throughout the league, all the leagues. So I see the posting come up and I'm like, what? And I like leaned in and I was like, wait, that's my job title. Like, that's what I do. You know what I mean? Now hiring Los Angeles Lakers for, insert job here. And I was like, I opened the posting and I read it and I'm like, okay, so I can do this job. I didn't have a resume because I'd been at my current job at that time for 11 years. And I wasn't looking for a job. So my resume wasn't even up to date, but I was just like, okay, let me do this real quick, update my resume, send it in, see what happens. Boom. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell a single soul because I was like, I'm being punked. This is like someone's playing a sick joke on me right now. This cannot be real, like my real life. So like a week or so goes by and I get a call from them and she's like, we would like to interview you, blah, blah, blah. I had to go through like 3 interviews. It took me like 2 months to get the job. And for one of them, I had a vacation planned and I was going to the mountains. And I was like, should I cancel it? Should I? No, my friend was like, why don't you just reschedule it? I'm like, absolutely not. I was like, I will bring my laptop. I will bring my work clothes. I had a fancy shirt and some sweats. I was doing like a Zoom interview in like the bedroom corner of a house in Mammoth Mountain somewhere. I told everybody to leave. I'm like, you guys have got to leave this house for 1 hour. I cannot have anybody in the background like yelling or whatever, doing whatever you guys are doing downstairs. Everybody left. They came back probably like the next day because we were still out of town. I got a call from them and they were like, okay, we have one more interview for you to whatever. And then I got back home and I was at work and this was on a Friday. I was at my current job and she emailed me like, hey, do you have a minute to talk? And I went outside and she was like, I just want to offer you the position. And I put her on mute and I burst into tears.
I love it. Love it.
And to this, like the other day we were talking about it at work and she goes, yeah. And then I put you on mute and I'm like, I think she's crying. I told one of our coworkers, I think she's crying. And I was like, yes, I absolutely was crying because I cannot even believe this is happening to me right now. So like little by little, I trickled out and I started telling people, like my friends, like, okay, this is what's happening. Like I have 2 girlfriends who we've been going to Laker games together for 15, 16 years. So we're like, we call the Laker girls, it's 3 of us. So I sat them down and I was like, listen, I'm going to tell you something and I need you to remain calm. They were like, they thought I was like going to tell them I was sick or something like that. And I was like,
yeah,
I applied for a job and I'm going to be the new, for the Los Angeles Lakers. They were like, what? They like both like jumped up and I like had to show them the email. Like, look, no, I'm serious. And they started to cry. And then I think every person that I told either cried or like had tears in their eyes because they just know how much I love the Lakers, and to be working for an organization that I have put so much effort and so much money and so much time into. It was just like they just knew that how much it meant to me and everybody was just absolutely thrilled for me. So that was like one of the best times.
That is so awesome. So how long have you been with the Lakers now?
This is my 3rd season coming up now.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the perks of the job?
We get a lot of swag. I will say we get so much clothing. I already had a lot of Laker gear because I would just buy it. I haven't bought a piece of Laker gear in 3 years because we get stuff at the beginning of the season, at Christmas, during the season, during the summer when they do like the clean out of the equipment room. They just give us all the t-shirts and all the things, the shorts and all the stuff. And I just give them. I have a box in my apartment. Like if I'm going anywhere where I know that like a bunch of my friends are going to be at, I'll just like put the box in my car and be like, here, you guys, please take some of the stuff off my hands because I don't need to have it, but I know like the different sizes and I'm just like, and everyone always appreciates it. We get comp tickets to the games. We get I get about 25 tickets that I don't have to pay for. And they're always like in the 100 section. So they're always really good. So that's great. And I like to take I take a couple of my friends have been to a few games, but mostly I try to take people who've never been to a Laker game so that they can have that experience because, a lot of people who are Laker fans somehow have never been to a Laker game. So I just always try to be like, hey, do you want to go to the game? So that they can have that experience as well. And they always are very appreciative.
How about that? Look at you paying it forward.
Our offices are at the practice facility. So when all those videos you see online of them practicing, all of our offices are upstairs. So like if I go into the conference room or in a couple of offices, you can like look over and you can just watch them practicing during the day. That's probably my favorite thing.
Cool. So let's keep it Lakers for a second. So what were some of your favorite Lakers moments?
Of course, the 2010 championship is what up there for me. After losing to the Celtics and then beating the Celtics the following year, that was great. I've been to 3 or 4 parades. Those were always fun. The first parade I went to, my friend, his parents had a Winnebago and we loaded it with our friends and a bunch of beer and we slept on Figueroa in the Winnebago.
That's dedication.
We slept. There was a parking lot, which is now like an empty lot, but which is now a building. But there was a bunch of cars in there. We pulled the Winnebago in there, and we slept there from like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning until the parade, so we could be like on the parade route, and they just went right in front of us. That was a highlight. I went to Kobe's last game. That was a highlight for me. There was a triple overtime game versus the Suns, I think it was. That I went to with Jessica. That was a great time. It was like a 4-hour basketball game. It was ridiculous like that, but it was so fun. And I got to last year. I did get to be at the game where LeBron broke the scoring title, so that was also
really
yeah.
Wow, that's so dope.
Yeah, I was there for that game, so that was a highlight, a recent highlight for sure.
So, how did you get into sports in general?
I don't really know. My mom used to watch the Lakers, like Showtime Lakers. Like she'd have friends over and they would watch the games. I would leave. I'd be like, whatever. And at some point I just started staying and watching the games and enjoying them, with her. And then she was a fan, and then I was a fan, and I just became a fan because of her. And then for the Lakers and other sports, I don't know. I've always just loved sports. Like we don't have basketball or football in England, at that time. So
yeah,
it was when I came here when I really got exposed to those things and, just started to enjoy them.
And what's it like as a woman navigating that fandom?
It can be tough at times, especially online. People don't know that you know anything, or they just assume that you don't know anything. Like when I talk about the Lakers, I say we because I am a part of the organization. I am a we. And sometimes people want to be like, call me out on that or say something, and I don't want them in my business. So I'm just like, whatever, just whatever. But just know when I say we, I mean we. So sports podcasts are a lot, sometimes to listen to because it's always from a very like male focused perspective, and it's hard to listen to sometimes, but I mean, it's something that I enjoy. I can put out all the noise, put all the noise aside and just listen to the information that I'm trying to find out. Especially on Twitter, like a lot of my Twitter is basketball, is NBA Twitter, is football Twitter. I played fantasy football for 11 years, so I always had to be into, finding out who's who and what's what and how does it work and how does football work and stuff like that. So I'm, I love sports. Sports are my favorite thing.
So talking about fantasy football, what made you get into that?
I was bullied into it by my friend the first year.
Oh.
And then I just kept going. I enjoyed it, and then I quit last year because not solely because of this, but this was what pushed me off the edge. I lost by less than 0.1 of a point in the championship. And I was sad for an entire summer. I was like, I cannot let a sport make me feel this way. You know what I mean? Like a game, I cannot do this. I cannot have this much emotion wrapped up in this fake game. So let me just not do this anymore because I played to win. I didn't just play as something. It's like you got to get up. You got to get on the waiver wires. You got to be up at midnight on Wednesday so that you can get the player that you want before the person that's ahead of you on the waivers. And you got to, you know what I mean? You got to see who's injured. You got to put them in, take them out. I mean, it's a lot of work.
I was about to say, it sounds very labor intensive.
It is very labor intensive, especially when you care.
Yeah. Yeah, emotion in sports. It's like putting fire out with gasoline.
Yeah, it's so much. It's so much. So yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm like, I don't even, it was during the pandemic. I was like, I have enough to worry about. I'm trying to keep myself alive. Yeah. I cannot be worried about who's getting injured on the football fields.
I tell you, it's like me being a Panthers fan. I used to be so emotional about that. And then it wasn't until they lost the Super Bowl that 2015 year. Mm-hmm. And I was mad for like maybe 5 minutes. And I sat in my truck and I was like, you know what? This is stupid. I said, you know what? I'm going to bed. I'm going to have a good night's sleep. And I'm going to wake up and have me a fire-ass breakfast the next morning. And everything's going to be fine. Yep. And ever since then, it's like my whole perspective changed. It's like, okay, Panthers win? Cool. I'm going to get me a pepperoni slice. Panthers cool? Panthers lose? All right, whatever. Try again next week. I'm gonna go get me a pepperoni slice.
Same pepperoni slice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I refuse to let a sports team lose and dictate the outcome of my day.
Yeah.
It's
tough.
Yeah.
Sports are hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something. It was an adjustment, but I got over to the other side.
Yeah.
So now we're going to get into the 5-question segment. So the first and last question are the same question I ask every guest I have on here. Questions 2 through 4 are 100% random. So question number 1, what was Charmaine's go-to school lunch items?
I used to eat Lunchables as a kid. Those disgusting fruit pies, they're like 30 cents now, even
the Hostess fruit pies,
cherry, blueberry, those. I would never put one of those in my system today, but I used to eat them almost every day as a kid. Capri Suns were my jam. Oreos for sure was my snack. Yeah, that was me. And then until I got to high school, and then I could go to Taco Bell.
See, there you go. It's like you get into high school, and it's like you got carte blanche.
Yeah, I still would eat the fried burritos that they would make in the cafeteria every now and then. They would fry like those. What are they? Those cheap burritos that were like $3 for $1. They would microwave them and then fry them.
Yeah,
they were terrible, but I ate them pretty often.
Question number 2. What was the last movie you walked out on because it was so bad?
I don't walk out on movies. I'm a movie fanatic. I love movies. That's like my second love. I love going to the movies.
Okay.
It's my favorite thing. So I don't think I've ever walked out of a movie. The other day I was trying to watch a movie. What was it? Oh. That new Orient Express movie. They're trying to get to who the killer was. And I was like, could you guys just hurry up with this? This is dragging. And I'd never finished it. So that would probably have to be the one.
Okay.
For sure.
Question number 3. What's your favorite Jamaican dish?
Ooh. Can I have 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So beef patty and a cocoa bread.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
With a Ting soda every time. But for a meal, it's probably got to be oxtail. My mom's oxtail specifically.
Okay.
Oxtail, rice and peas, plantain, and vegetables.
Oh, that plantain. I love that plantain. I'd eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if I could.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom knows that's like my favorite thing. So whenever I go over there and she cooks for me, it doesn't matter what she's cooking. There's always plantain on the side.
So what is it about your mom's oxtail that stands out above everybody else's?
I guess it's just familiar to me and it's delicious. My mom is a fantastic cook. So she can just, what they call knock a pan with the best of them. Mm-hmm. So she's like, I don't really feel like I'm missing out if I don't, if I get it from somewhere else, but I would love her food's great. Yeah.
I've never heard that turn of phrase before. She can knock a pan. Hey, that's hard. I like that. Question number 4. What are some things you didn't appreciate until you got older?
Rest. Stretching my body.
Yeah.
I enjoy yoga. I enjoy doing yoga. Stretching is vital as we get older. To your body, just getting out of bed in the morning, it makes it so much easier if you stretch at night before bed.
100%.
Brussels sprouts. I used to hate Brussels sprouts. Now I absolutely love Brussels sprouts. Yes. But I think they went through like a redesign of some sort or maybe it's because in England we used to eat them. It was just like they would boil them and they're like little mini cabbages, and who wants that? Now I cut them up and put them with bacon and fry them up and do all sorts of things with them. Put almonds in them and balsamic vinegar. Of course it's going to be delicious. So yeah, those are a few things. Having my own space is a thing. Quiet time. But that's something I've liked really all of my life. I really can I enjoy my own company more so probably than most people. So
I'm in the same boat.
I can during the pandemic, I was just like, oh, I gotta be by myself for 6 months. Easy peasy.
Sign me
Give
up.
me a puzzle. Good to go.
Question 4B, courtesy of your friend Jessica. Who was your favorite guest on my 30-second snack reviews on Instagram?
She's such an idiot. I'm gonna say Jessica. Jessica's my favorite guest.
Great answer. Great answer. I had fun. I had a lot of fun doing the 30-second snack review with her.
Yeah, she's good company.
She is. And last question. What was the last thing that really made you laugh?
It's always Twitter, because Twitter is just before even though he's tried to ruin it for us, I still find so much enjoyment in it during the day. And they had this meme, this "She Ain't No Diva" thread meme, and I have been laughing at it for 2 days now.
Where did that come from? Because I saw a couple of them, and I don't know the genesis of that thread.
At the Renaissance tour, during Diva, Beyonce in the crowd pointed to someone in the crowd and was like, "She ain't no diva," and like sung it and pointed to someone. So the meme is like, and that's where the meme
and then it just became a running joke.
Yeah.
Got you.
Right.
Speaking of which, didn't you just recently go to a Beyonce concert?
I did go to the Renaissance concert. I was at the birthday show and at her birthday show, and it was incredible. I've seen Beyonce a couple of times before that, but this was by far my favorite Beyonce experience. I'll call it an experience you can feel like in SoFi, you're in a place with, at that 60,000 other people who are there for one purpose, and it's her.
Yeah.
And it's what they make her feel, how they make her, how she makes them feel. The energy was so good in there, except I did see one guy get like hog-tied out and carried out by his arms and legs because he was wasted. The concert hadn't even started yet, and he was so drunk, and they were taking him out. I know he was so upset. He was so upset when he figured it all out. But yeah, she's amazing. Her voice is amazing. For her to be able to up there dancing for 3 hours like that, and all those songs just hit after hit. She did like the whole Renaissance album in order, but with like different things sprinkled in between it. You know what I mean? So you still got the Renaissance experience, because when I listen to the album, I listen to it from the beginning to the end. It's like one, I don't like jump around. It's like it starts here and it ends here, and that's how you listen to this album. So that's how she gave us the experience with that. So yeah, it was amazing. I'm very glad that I spent the money and went to that concert, because I don't know if we'll see that again from her.
Yeah, and I know one thing about her concerts, just going by my Twitter timeline, man, there's a lot of people are holding a lot of stock and holding high standards to the mute challenge.
We were up there. We were top 3.
Okay.
Yeah, we were top 3. Yeah. I think it was like...
Go ahead.
It was Atlanta, I think. Kansas City, it was okay. And then Houston, yeah, okay, top 5. Houston, and then us. So, yeah.
Okay. Matter of fact, I was looking through a friend of the show, Bridget. She posted her IG stories from her when she went and saw them in Kansas City.
And the one today I saw it. I was
the mute. Oh man, I think that was probably the last thing that made me laugh uncontrollably. I was because I was going through her stories at work and I saw that clip.
Yeah, she did that on purpose.
Yeah,
it was real good. Yeah, that was really funny. I laughed at that today as well. Yeah,
just the look on her face whenever that dude made that let out that yell. Like, boy, I know Bridget is not fucking with that right now.
Yeah, she was not playing at all.
All right, so if you have anything you want to plug or promote, the floor is yours.
Ooh, not really. I mean, I just go to work, go Lakers. I enjoyed my Twitter. I'm probably not going to be on Twitter much longer. I'm trying to weed my way off of that. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Charm, CHARM _pop, Charm Pop on Instagram. And, that's where I'd like to travel. And I got a lot of my travel stuff on there, and I post a lot of silly memes and sometimes selfies of myself.
Yeah, I mean, great IG page to follow. And next year, I got to make my way out west, because
Absolutely.
I've been playing like way too long with just dragging my feet going out there. So
yes, you're welcome anytime, and you'll have a great time out this way. It's
I'm definitely gonna make my way out there. So once again, Charmaine, thank you so much for being on here. I really
thank you so much for
this.
having me. I really appreciate it. I had a great time.
Thank you. Absolutely. So make sure you like, download, and subscribe to Since We Last Spoke with Danny Foxworth. Make sure you follow my my YouTube page. You can subscribe there. It's at Danny Foxworth 843. You can find all the video versions of my podcast episodes on there. And this has been another episode of Since We Last Spoke. And for Charmaine and myself, till next time, y'all be good. Peace.